Now joined by clerk of the course Andrew Cooper. Andrew, just under 2 weeks out from the Betfred Derby, how are preparations going?
Yeah, okay. I think we spend most of our time looking at weather forecasts, obviously, in this job. And the key thing, as far as that's concerned, is it does look as though the dry spell is going to continue. We last had any rain here about 10 days ago, end of the middle part of the second week in May. And the outlook does look dry going forward, and possibly turning warmer next week as well. So it's a year where sometimes nature takes care of things, in terms of rainfall. We will be sort of continuing an irrigation program here inevitably, with that sort of weather forecast, which we began here middle part of last week.
Okay. And what is the main challenge with the ground, trying to predict the weather? You mentioned that expecting dry spells. Is that the main model of it?
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, it's in this job, you just spend so much of your time sort of looking at weather forecasts and trying to think what that weather, how it will impact the track. Particularly obviously in terms of rainfall. In a way, dry forecasts are quite not a bad thing for a clerk of the course, because at least you can sort of do things in some degree of confidence in terms of irrigation, because you're not sort of worrying about, there's thunderstorms forecast in about 4 days time, so do we water or don't we? We're in a situation now where quite frankly you have to be watering, else you'd be very firm ground, and at Epsom you'd be very firm ground very quickly, and I don't think anyone thinks that's the right thing for us to be running classic races, Betfred Derbies, Betfred Oaks on very firm ground, although ground officially sort of good to firm is quite rightly perfectly fine.
You'd be very pleased to know John Gosden was extremely happy with the ground today. If it stayed as it was today, would that be good news?
Yeah, I think so. I think the horses have come here today have exercised on ground I would basically call good. It has dried. It was probably on the slow side of good on Saturday when we last put a bit of water on it in preparation for this morning's gallops. Dried, breezy day here yesterday, and being a sort of chalk-based course, it does dry very, very quickly here. So you can irrigate with some degree of confidence, knowing that it will dry and settle down fairly quickly. But yeah, I think we're not far away, I'd say, from the ground we've had here this morning, from what you'd quite happily run any flat race meeting on, really. It probably needed a bit of fine tuning around the edges. There's one or two bits that are still probably just on the slower side, or one or two bits that are probably just starting to get on the quicker side. But I think in flat racing terms, I sort of think the ideal ground is ground on the sort of faster side of good. Somewhere in that sort of good to firm territory is sort of ideal, and that's generally what we sort of aim for here at Epsom.
Thanks very much, Andrew. Just 2 weeks out, or just under 2 weeks out from the Betfred Derby.